But in the last 8 months, that is 2019 in Barcelona, we saw so many machines that are quite capable to cater the needs of Industry 4.0, that is based on IoT, artificial intelligence, and big data. So at one end, we are heading to Industry 4.0. At the other end, weaving is still an art. If we compare ikat and kalamkari with the commercial sheet fabrics. So since weaving is both, it is a science as well as an art. So meeting the sustainability requirements or meeting the environmentally friendly requirements is sometimes a big task or a big challenge, because with art we want to claim that we are superiors to others. At the same time, we are making ourselves industry ready so that we can cater to the export market. We can see the classifications based on work instruction system. Everybody, almost all the faculty members of textiles who are participating, they must have known it. Of course, the interdisciplinary faculty members, they should know what is the basic difference between the shuttle and shuttleless weaving. We can see that the first one is shuttle and all others rest are projectile, rapiers, air jet and water jet. So with advancement of technology, we have reduced the weight, we have reduced the noise, we have uh, come through the sustainable stage. Another classification, if we'll see, based on the source of energy to drive, that is power looms or hand looms. Power looms are again shuttle, projectile, rapier, air jet and water jet. So obviously, when we consume power, we have to reduce the power requirement, we have to increase the production. This is the disadvantages of shuttle picking. That is the first step that came up in 1971 to make the system more sustainable, to reduce the weight, to reduce the energy consumption, to reduce the noise generation. So with all these disadvantages, the concept of shuttleless weaving came, which eliminated unnecessary movement, eliminated the movement of the work package, eliminated power consumption, not eliminated, minimized the power consumption to improve quality of fabric and to improve the productivity. So this I have already discussed. So since lot many things are to be discussed, I would like to skip it. The development of shuttleless weaving, we will see it started in 1971 for multi-phase, and commercial breakthrough came to 1998. However, for rapier, air jet, projectile, and water jet, the commercial breakthrough started somewhat around 1950s to 1970s. These are the worked insertion rate, that is to how at what speed we are producing fabric. That is the work is inserted at how much meters per minute. You can see the highest WIR is achieved in multi-phase weaving, having 5,500. But to the utter surprise, this multi-phase weaving has not become sustainable because of its inherent limitations of repairing of yarn in work direction as well as in work direction. So multi-phase weaving, though it is highly productive and technology savvy, still there are no takers because of its certain limitations in manufacturing of fabric. The first breakthrough in shuttleless weaving came as projectile weaving. Projectile machines fulfill all the textile industry's requirement in regard to quality and performance. With projectile weft insertion, virtually any yarn can be woven. That is from finer to the coarser, to the spun, to the filament, as well as tapes. The projectile machines is characterized by good productivity level and high operational reliability. These types of machines are useful for weaving higher width fabrics and multiple fabrics having same type of webbed. Projectile weaving is quite robust and technologically mature engineering. It gives the textile industry the following advantages: that is low power consumption, no material loss because we can produce any type of selvage, and the torqued in selvage is its major specialty. Top reliability, functionality, and ease of operation. Low servicing and machine costs, long-term retention of value through upgradation. These machines have been pioneered by John Jacob Sulzer, who took it from Switzerland in 1934, and they are the pioneers in producing these machines because they had patented the torsion rod mechanism with them. Sulzer is also known to be manufacturer of rail engines in Europe, so that technology upgradation was possible in Sulzer. The next versatile machine is rapier. As the name suggests, two rapiers or two flexible or rigid swords are used to insert the weft, and these are most flexible machines. The application range covers a wide variety of fabric. These types of machines are characterized by minimum noise pollution due to the minimum vibration of reed, sleigh, and the hind frames. You can see these are the rapier heads. Nowadays, the rapier heads are being manufactured from carbon fiber to reduce their weight, to improve their life. So they are not made by metals, rather through fiber reinforced composites. These are the leading market players or manufacturers in case of rapier looms, that is Dornier, Sommet, Picanol, Sulzer, Pharmatex, and Jacob Muller. The third category in case of shuttless weaving is air jet. As the name suggests, the weft is inserted by the blow of air. These weaving machines are characterized by the highest weft insertion rate and considered as the most productive in manufacturing of light to medium weight fabrics, preferably made by cotton and certain man-made fibers, that is sheets, satin fabrics, linings, taffetas, and satins in stuffy yarns of man-made fibers. Deliberately, I have used hair funds because many times the participants take part through their mobile phones, because I also attend many webinars and seminars through mobile phones and it is not visible. I hope it will be clear to them. Air-jet machines can also be used for the production of heavy weight fabrics like denims as well as terry fabrics. These machines are preferred for the manufacturing of bulk quantities having customized fabric style. The weaving width varies from 190 to 400 centimeter, and it can be used can use up to 8 different colors for weft direction. It has, however, to be considered that the air-jet weaving machines require a high energy consumption to prepare the compressed air to be blown, and that this consumption rises definitely with increase in loom width and running speed, because we use compressed air. So definitely energy requirements are in upward moving slope with increase in speed as well as width of the fabric. The reduction in energy consumption by air-jet looms is in fact one of the main concerns in fabric manufacturers. We'll discuss about it later on, which is an important selection criteria. So you can see this is the positioning of subnozzles. Nowadays some improvements have been made in the reed profile as well as the subnozzle aperture to reduce the air consumption and thereby reducing the energy requirement. Major manufacturers for air-jet machines are Sulzer, Sudokuma, Picanol, Toyota, Dornier, Sommet, and Muller. This is the fourth category in shuttless category weaving, that is water jet. The jet in This particular machine is made by flow of water. The water jet looms are used for the manufacture of light and medium weight fabrics with standard characteristics and are hydrophobic fibers such as nylon and polyester. These machines are primarily used for the weaving of multi-filament synthetic yarns. These looms are characterized by high work insertion rate and low energy consumption. And these are basically suitable for filament weaving, and these are having properties of stable filling insertion and less vibration. Shidokuma, Toyota, Nissan, and Alitex are the major manufacturers of water jet machines. Yes, this was the machine I was talking initially. That is the multi-phase weaving. So multiple number of wefts that can be inserted simultaneously. Manufacturer is Sulzer. Other version is weft wave multi-phase weaving or circular loops, which looks somewhat like this. The concept of multi-phase weft insertion started in 1955. These type of looms are based on the multi-shade formation during weaving. Multi-shade formation can be achieved by two basic techniques, namely wave shade and multilinear. Multi-phase looms are unable to gain success due to the inherent shortcomings such as difficulty in repairing misfits, difference in work tension. That's why, though they are highly sustainable, very low consuming, low power consuming per unit production, they are yet to crack in the market. Coming to the main issue, that is sustainability. We'll see we are having three reuse, reduce, and recycle. You see, in weaving mechanism, there are very little scope for reuse and recycle. However, we can address sustainability, we can impose sustainability if we try to reduce energy, noise, and waste. These are the three major polluting factors or unsustainable factors related to fabric modern weaving or fabric manufacturing. Coming to the first issue, that is power, energy. This is the distribution of power that is required for composite industry. You can see 41% for ring spinning, 5% for weaving preparation, 13% for weaving, 10% for wet processing, 19% for humidification, 4% for illumination, and 8% for others. So if we will see, weaving consumes 13% of the total requirement of a textile industry. If we will combine preparation, it is still around 18%. So energy is used for operations in compressors for supplying compressed air for winding, warping, sizing, and looms, which are part of the preparatory process. Apart from electrical energy, thermal energy is also utilized for the sizing operation, which is produced from the steam. The steam is generally used for the heating of size liquor in the size box as well as for the heating of multiple drying rollers. This thermal energy is produced at the boilers for production of steam and transported to the sizing department by insulated pipes. Mostly fossil fuel, that is petrol, diesel, or gas, are used for boiler operation. Apart from the energy consumption for different manufacturing process, energy is also used for material handling, official work, and temperature control in weaving industry. So in the previous graph, we have seen that unlike yarn manufacturing, fabric production is less energy intensive process. The total electrical energy consumed per linear meter of fabric is 0.45 to 0.55 kilowatt hour, whereas the thermal energy consumed per linear meter of fabric is 18.8 to 23 millijoule. The total energy consumption for the production of 1 kg of fabric, which typically varies between 1.7 to 4.2 kilowatt per hour, depending on its GSM. The typical energy consumption pattern for different motions in a rapier loom with 8 head shaft. I have taken rapier, but almost for all machines it is more or less same. That is 60% of the energy is used in picking. So if you can reduce the energy consumption in picking or picking system by any modification, by lubrication, by maintenance, by use of new material, then you are going to save a lot of energy. Shedding 17% and also bit of 19%. Among the shuttleless weaving machines, air jet, rapier, and water jet looms are the most widely used for manufacturing. Air jet machines are considered to be the more sustainable than others due to their high work insertion rate, and as a result of which production shoots up and the cost of production dips down. However, due to the highest speed, the watt should be carefully prepared for air jet looms. Therefore, the use of compressed air in the air jet looms is an energy intensive process. Hence, the countries where the energy cost is rising may be a problem for air jet machines to survive. Rapier looms can be selected for delicate work cams and for intricate weaving. Although the projectile machines can give high WIR similar to the rapier looms, they have some limitation in number of work colors and work cam tension. As well as there is a type of machines which are manufactured by Sulzer suffer from high initial cost, as a result of which nowadays they have become obsolete. Multiphase machines can weave the fabric at the highest WIR. However, the limitations in design of the looms have not made them commercially successful. This is the breakup of energy consumption in the industry, weaving industry. You can see motor-driven system, that is for machines, almost 27% energy is consumed. Again, for steam, generation of steam and transportation, 27%. Facilities, different types of facilities, around 18%. Heaters, 20%. Process cooling, almost 4%, and others, almost 2%. If we still analyze the motor-driven system, this is the breakup for motor-driven system energy consumption. That is material processing, almost 32%. Material handling, almost 11%. Refrigeration, compress air, fan, pump, and others have respective amount consumption. This is the energy loss profile where we are losing energy, that is energy to process, that is energy to manufacture, generation, transmission, distribution. This is the area where energy loss is more, and motor system, boiler, equipment having less than 10% of energy loss. The energy consumption in weaving can be reduced or sustainability can be achieved by making the process more efficient with regular care, maintenance, cleaning, and efficient driving systems. Reducing the waste yarn generated during weaving process can help to improve the sustainability. Weaving process can also be made more sustainable by effective driving systems and increased productivity. Any step during the weaving process to reduce energy consumption increases the process efficiency and productivity, which can help to achieve sustainability. From the above discussion, it is evident that the energy is one of the prime factors influencing the cost. Hence, energy efficient technology in fabric manufacturing can help in sustainable production. We'll see what are the developments in last couple of years that have taken place. New weaving technologies such as projectile, rapier, air jet, water jet, and multiphase machines consume lower energy and give better efficiency compared to the conventional machines. And switching to newer weaving system or technologies is a major step to achieve sustainability. The second part next to energy is noise. In addition to high energy consumption, the other major environmental problem in weaving is noise pollution. In fact, weaving process is the step in whole garment production which generates the highest level of noise pollution. We'll see the table in subsequent slides. The vibration of the mechanical parts of the machine is the major source of noise. The rotating and reciprocating movement of elements of weaving like slave, like hills, like picking system, have kinetic energy and share it to the other machines, machine elements to bearings. And some majority of the energy is dissipated as knowledge. So how it can be controlled? So machine shafts like machine elements like shafts, gears, pulleys are mostly rotating in nature, whereas reed, sleigh, hail frames are mostly reciprocating. These moving parts of the machines are usually the main source of vibration, which are then transmitted to other parts of the machine. So this we have already discussed. This is the table I was talking about, that is the noise level production. In shuttle looms it is around 90 to 115, in projectile it is 85 to 100, in rapier it is 80 to 100, air jet 90 to 100, and water jet 80 to 95. I would like to share one experience I gathered during my visit to one of the leading textile industries at New Pravadevi, Mumbai. It is Bombadine Spring Mills. It was having almost 1008 machines, all shuttle looms in one set. When I entered into the set, immediately I came out because I never got exposed to such a huge set before to that. It was making huge noise. So those noise level can be reduced by use of shuttleless machines. Furthermore, the walls and ceilings of the weaving sets can be fitted with appropriate sound absorbing materials to reduce the noise level. Also, it is better to keep the weaving machines isolated from other departments and keep the doors closed so that noise is not polluted and not disturbing to others. Employees should be provided with proper ear protecting device to reduce the environmental impact. Although reducing the operational speeds can help reducing the noise level, and productivity will be reduced. The use of electronic device and mechanism instead of mechanical devices also can help reducing noise level. The third in the category of reduction is the waste. The more you use, the more you generate waste. So solid waste generation is becoming a serious issue nowadays. The major source of solid waste is caused after the end of the life cycle of the fabric, of the apparels. These are abandoned apparels which go up to the landfills. The other source of solid waste is the process waste or pre-consumer waste generated at every stage of fabric production. This solid waste can be reused as low quality textile products after recycling. There is an ever increasing effort to reduce the process waste in order to reduce the cost of production. So here one thing I would like to tell, it is my personal experience that with growing age and growing fashion, people use more number of garments, more number of apparels, and generate more waste. We are list other when we purchase apparels or upholsteries or home textiles during festive seasons, and I feel very few people of us really want to reduce the use of apparels, reduce the use of upholsteries and home textiles, which also gives rise to much solid waste because people nowadays are fashion prone. So every day people buy new garments, use it, throw it. Where does it go? To the landfills, and also to manufacture that particular piece of apparel or fabric, we require huge amount of energy and ultimately pollute the atmosphere. The thrust area to waste minimization is to use fewer amounts of water, chemicals, energy, which will lead to lower emission of greenhouse gases. I would like to throw some light on crop or the production of cotton. Cotton, which is thought to be the most environmentally friendly, user-friendly fiber, has become one of the most polluting fiber in today's world. So in Western countries, demand is switching to man-made fibers because the highest amount of chemicals, fertilizers, pesticides are required for production of cotton. The other area of waste minimization is to use modern technology, software, artificial intelligence, IoT, and lean manufacturing concept in production floor to reduce the waste. The average waste related to warp in a weaving industry lying in the range of 2.5 to 4%. The warp waste is mostly found at the auxiliary selvage, at the shuttleless looms, warping machines, in the sizing zone, knotting, getting, tying in, and as weavers beam residues. So nowadays, automatic knotting and getting machines are taking speed, and they are of more interest in ITMA in 2019 as well as 2015. It was observed that the warping waste accounts for about 85% of the total warp waste, and all other warp waste account for only 15%. The alternate method of fabric production, that is knitting technology, produces less waste as compared to weaving technology. So if we can switch to knitting technology, which is almost accounting for almost 35% of the world production nowadays, is less waste generating as compared to weaving. We'll discuss some recent developments which are some few steps towards sustainability in last decade or couple of 5 to 7 years. This is one example, that is Optimax I8J190 with free flight positive gripper, exhibited in ITMA 2015 at Milan. Picanol introduced this machine, new development, as free flight positive gripper. In traditional repairs, grippers are opened and closed mechanically by fingers located at the transfer area. The timing of the opening and closing of the grippers is set and fixed before weaving. So this poses a challenge when using different filling yarns that require different timings. So you require different machines. But with use of this free flight positive gripper, the timing of opening and closing of the grippers must be optimized to work with the different work yarns. That is, in the same machine you can process more number of sorts. Matter that requires time and lead to a loss of production. The opening and closing of the FGP gripper are controlled electronically and can be timed differently for each filling type, which provides new opportunity to mix virtually any combination of filling yarns in the same fabric. This free flight positive gripper was introduced on the new Optimax machine, an intricate jacquard pattern with variety of worked yarns supplied from 8 different feeders. So it can cater to the needs of any kind of checks or stripes in work direction also. The next introduction or the next modification that we came across was E-reed. You can see the profile reed that is used in airjet machines and the riller nozzles which carry the weft from one end of the air jet to the other end. In terms of air consumption reduction, Toyota engineered a new riller nozzle design with an optimized tapered angle for lower air pressure. The new profiled E-reed also reduced air pressure. The new design of the profile reed allows the riller nozzles to be set closer to the reed as a result of the reduction in dimension of the bottom portion of the reed valves. The closer setting makes the air blowing in the weft yarn more effectively with less energy dissipation. So less amount of air is lost and more energy is transferred to the weft by friction of which the weft is passed from one end of the machine to the other end. This is the third invention that should be focused on, that is Picanol Omni Plus I air jet machine. This is having four intricacies or four important features. One is smart performance. So Picanol machines have always been built for maximum performance, and this will always be in the case. Nevertheless, smart performance focuses on ensuring the highest industrial speeds in the market, even under difficult conditions. Picanol has realized this in this new Omni Plus I machine, and thanks to a completely new reed motion, whereupon more insertion time permits the smooth handling of the even less than perfect yarns. So the new reed, which allows more insertion time, that means you use less energy for insertion because you are left with more time. Second is sustainability. The reduction in energy consumption is not an optional in this machine. It has to be embedded in the machine design. With its modified riller nozzle distance, the new Omni Plus I offers more stable insertion and consequently new possibilities for the further reduction in air consumption, even by automated algorithms. In other words, sustainability is inbuilt with this machine. Third is driven by data. SmartSet is an attachment software available in the machine, fully electronically controlled shading motion, which is incorporated in the new Omni Plus I, is a logical step in this evolution. Together with an abundant use of sensors, this generates data that fuel real-time optimized algorithms and promises even further gains in productivity when combined with other data, even from other different machines. Therefore, weaving with Picanol truly becomes driven by data. Fourth one in this feature is intuitive control. So these are user-friendly as far as possible. Due to the new large interactive torch screen and the new signal lamp and the new Omni Plus I, it is able to offer an enhanced level of intuitive control. This enables the viewer to navigate quickly and easily through all the machine settings and adjust them, even without having to stop the machine. That means it reduces the manpower requirement. So you are having less number of manpowers to attain or to operate higher number of machines. This is one of the developments that manufacturers are also venturing out. That is 3D weaving. What is 3D weaving? Till today, we are known to have performed weaving in 2D direction and met the requirements of apparel industry. However, with development of fiber reinforced composite or textile reinforced composites, we thought of developing three-dimensional fabric, which we want sometimes 3 or sometimes 4 different types of yarns in different axes, and this is the structure of 3D that I have developed during my dissertation at my PhD tenure at IIT Delhi. So you can see the yarns are disposed in 3 different directions, and the fabric generated so are used for preforms for composite manufacturing, which can eliminate the process of laying, which can eliminate the process of forming or joining, which sometimes lead to breakages. So this is the schematic view of the machine, line diagram of the 3D weaving machines that I had used at IIT Delhi with sample CCI weaving machine, 2 binder warps, and with a yield capable of driving multiple webs so that we can produce 3D fabrics. So these are the different weaves, that is orthogonal, layer interlock, angle interlock with stuffer, without stuffer. We can manufacture, and we can adjust the fiber volume fraction in the preform to cater to the requirement of textile reinforced composites. These are different 3D fabrics, views, and machines that have been used for manufacturing of these fabrics. These composites, they offer much advantage over other laminated or unidirectional reinforced composites, because 3D woven and 3D threaded composites are anisotropic but can be tailored as quasi-isotropic while being much lighter and stronger than metals. The application of these 3D reinforced composites are aerospace, wind energy. Aerospace means for making the bodies, lightweight bodies of aircrafts. Wind energy, that is the blades of windmills, making it lightweight. Automotive parts, we all come across fiber body machines, fiber body cars, two-wheelers, which definitely an advantage over the old age aluminum or steel parts. Pressure vessels, civil engineering materials, marine application, hull sports, those are also used from this 3D oven. These are some of the examples of use of 3D oven composites: panel doors of cars, body of cars, housing for engines. So with this, we have come to the conclusion part, that is the fabric manufacturing industry prepares base fabric for fashion and apparel sector after using lot of energy, chemicals, water, and fibers from natural and petroleum resources. Hence, the textile fabrics should be produced from eco-friendly raw materials, renewable energy resources, and natural and biodegradable chemicals, so that the textile fabrics can be considered as a sustainable material. So the need of the hour, how this can be implemented. Approaches like consumer awareness, what I was talking of, less use, improvement of product, that means multiple features, sustainable process design, frequent energy audits to avoid loss of energy, stricter statutory guidelines of environmental norms, sometimes stricter maintenance schedule can help the textile industry to achieve sustainability in fabric manufacturing. And to conclude, I will throw my views that fabric manufacturing uses almost 18% of the total energy. However, this is the most important step to add value to the material, because this is the first step of the fabric text part. Before that, it was yarn. Before that, it was fiber. But once it becomes fabric, therefrom it starts a text part to be served to the consumers. So, as we already discussed, reduce, reuse, and recycle. So, the very less scope is available in case of fabric manufacturing for reuse and reduce, recycle, and reuse. So, reduce is the most important aspect if we want to make the fabric manufacturing process more sustainable. With this, we come to the end of the presentation, and I feel the participants have gained some insight how to make the fabric actually more sustainable. So now I would like to enter into the question hour session or interaction. If some participants would like to interact, it is over to Professor Pade.
Sir, thank you very much for your wonderful lecture, and you have collected a very good resource at one point, and you have shared your experience also. Once again, thank you being a resource person over here in this FDP.
My pleasure, sir.
If participant is having any question, query, suggestion, or appreciation, there are the appreciation going on the question box over here. Ms. Taruna is saying that very useful presentation with beautifully added information. So I think, sir, your presentation definitely is useful for us. I have a few things. Even Mithu is saying it's a very nice presentation. Mithu Kumar. Yeah. Sir, from my side, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the 3D fabric.
Yes,
specifically, people are talking about technical textile.
Yes.
Sir, in India's contribution point of view, if you say, then we lack in technical textile, and actually the major market, what we can say that costly affair is going to be in the textile side, technical textile. So, what do you see the Indian scenario for the technical textile? Whether the Indian textile industry is moving towards the textile, or we have government has to do something for that purpose. What is your views?
Yes. That is the biggest question nowadays with government of India as well as the people of India. That is many manufacturers have entered into the manufacturing of a technical textile segment in India. Earlier they were also manufacturing, but most of them were being exported. But nowadays people have thought of using it in Indian context. Particularly, I know certain developments being very close to the seashore in the eastern part of India. There are always, every year we come across certain floods in Odisha, and when there is monsoon. So, as a result of which the deltas are overflooded, people lose their livelihoods or homes, and taken to different new locations. So geotextiles have been used in some parts of Odisha, in the seashore as well as deltas, to mitigate this land loss or to deal with the floods or the tsunamis. In addition to that, government of Odisha has also started initiatives to reduce pollution in mining areas by using filtration textile, while making these steel plants, aluminum plants. When they extract, there are lots of energy requirement, as a result of which very huge amount of used. And so some filter bags that have been started to be used in metallurgical units of steel and aluminum manufacturing. But I don't see much growth as in case of Western countries. That is for civil structures. You use, I have seen many civil structures in Europe which are made up of fiber reinforced composite. Because human value, the life of human being is much higher in Western countries. So they normally go for very lightweight structures. But in India, the cost point of view, it is very difficult to be adapted in civil construction or architectural textiles. However, we can switch to other forms of technical textile like agro textile, like filtration textile, like you can say some defense textile, manufacturing of lightweight what you call armors, helmets. So that we can manufacture in India. And to my best of my knowledge, some DRDO laboratories, they have also started manufacturing in a small scale basis in India. So there is scope, but not like Western countries, but with growing time and more awareness, we can switch over to technical textile.
Okay, in conclusion, you wanted to say that there are few applications which are very useful in Indian situation, Indian scenario, and for that there should be a collaborative efforts from the government of India, state governments, and from industry side, so that
Yes.
this sector can be grown. Very good, sir.
Yes.
I think Maiti sir is also there. Dr. Maiti.
Hello.
Sir, you are audible.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, sir. Can you explore some few questions to the Das sir?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
Dr. Das. Actually, India is also still lacking in some of the parts. Suppose talking about technical textile, we need for technical textile, we need high performance fiber. For example, say carbon fiber, say aramide fiber, say glass fiber. Glass fiber still somehow it is manufactured in India, but still we are lacking in manufacturing fiber like Kevlar or say carbon fiber. So these are the some issues which is particularly required for those high performance, say high absorbance of energy, like say body armor or helmet. So those are the things. Still there are scope in research. Say these are the thrust area you can say. So can you show some lights?
Yes, definitely. Without raw materials, no industry can sustain. So if you want to sustain or grow in technical textile market, definitely we have to manufacture the fibers or to reduce import duties to make it cheaper and make it available to the end users. So I feel other than Kevlar, carbon, PBI and PBO, still we are having polyethylene fibers, polypropylene fibers, polyester fibers, nylon fibers, which are manufactured and used in non-woven sectors for manufacturing of many technical textiles. However, to produce this PBO, PBI or Kevlar as well as carbon, we need to go hire persons of R&D and we need to procure it with less import duties, and nowadays these fibers are not allowed for shipment also. So to give it a boost, government should think of reducing import duties and setting up plants in India. Otherwise, technical textile market will not be able to grow in India.
Yes, definitely. But one good things what I can say right now in this pandemic situation, when this pandemic started, actually India was lacking to produce PPE kit. But within very quick short period of time, India was able to produce much more number of PPE kit which is actually required in India. Means they have produced excess what is required, so they can export also now.
Yes.
So this kind of
Yes.
potential India is having nowadays. So
Definitely.
that is a good things.
Very much agree with you, Dr. Maiti. So India has a lot of potentials. Only it has to be boosted, or it has to be dug up and made to bring to the surface so that people can exploit it. So yes, somebody wants to ask something, or is it a disturbance?
Sir, you can continue.
Okay. So India is having tremendous potential for any type of manufacturing as well as use. But for manufacturing, the particular requirements of infrastructure, energy, policy is not there. So if we can address, or we can meet the requirements in this pandemic situation, definitely in normal situation we can excel. Only thing is that we should have a sustainable process and availability of material to manufacture and to market it. I feel in new generation knitting industries or weaving industries, they are more focusing on technical textile production rather than because technical textile you have to produce a customized product, and before you manufacture you should have certain end use for which you are manufacturing. It is not that for normal apparel products that you manufacture and throw it to the open market and make money. So definitely the two different sides of pros and cons of apparel as well as technical textiles are there, and I see lots of scope provided government supports, and I feel government has generated or formed one technical textile commission recently in 1 month back to look after all these developments.
Okay, so government is positive in that particular direction, right, sir?
Yes, definitely.
One participant is asking, in weaving machine, is there any effect on weaving because of heavy fluctuation of voltage? In basically, if you're talking about India's scenario, then currently the power quality is improved, but some 2-3 years back, there was regular shutdown and voltage fluctuations.
Okay.
So can you throw some light on
you? Yes, definitely. You see, all the modern machines or today's machines are heavily loaded with microprocessors to give you facilities of IoT, AI. Okay, so with a very heavy fluctuation, definitely these microprocessors are not going to last long. Okay, So there are obviously certain improvements, means there are obviously certain limitations. Previously we are using bicycles, now people are using motorcycles. So definitely maintenance cost for motorcycle is much higher. But to address this heavy fluctuation, you should have certain surge protection, you should have uninterrupted power supply. Obviously, because these machines are very sophisticated. These are almost robotic machines. So with heavy fluctuation voltage is not at all bearable for these machines.
See, there is one session, maybe it will be day after tomorrow, electrical energy management and energy savings operation. So in this, okay, in this, okay, it is exchange. So there is one session also, electrical energy management, maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow, maybe something is exchange, maybe exchange. So these are the session are also there, so that who has asked the question, he can also ask some more question on that. Okay, so that is also there. And what Dr. Das had said, it is obvious actually. So modernization comes from motor is also changed to servo motor or something else. So maybe so it is like that itself. Okay.
Sir, you can have some more questions, because we may have 10-15 minutes more time.
Yes.
Yeah. And we can use this time for the improve the knowledge of ours and as well as participant.
Sure.
So as sir said, means very nicely said that we have to minimize the waste generation, and that waste is going to harm our environment basically. So what are the main measures we can take to minimize the waste? Like in case of sir also said that in case of knitting there is less waste generation compared to weaving. So but obviously we need woven cloth for a very different purpose also. Knitting cannot serve all those purpose. So how to minimize this kind of waste generation, if you brief that?
See, there are automatic tying in or knotting machines. When there is a short change, then people use manual tying. So manual tying means definitely some talents will be there, and waste loss will be there. To that, when the material is handled, if the material is handled manually, then definitely hard waste generation is much higher.
Yes, sir.
In winding, warping, sizing. In winding, we can have splicers, and in place of knotters, so that the hard waste generation is very less. Material handling also produces some defective packages. Transportation loss is there. So to avoid it, we can have robotic transportation or mechanical semi-mechanical transportation. And coming to the end use part of the garment, which makes more generation of more hard waste, we can have limited number of apparels, limited number of garments with proper planning. That particular end use we require how many particular garments. That will also reduce the waste. And another factor that is addressable is recycling of waste. That is, if you can recycle the waste and reuse the fibers. Suppose the woven fabrics, they can be garnetted and they can be used as non-woven material or sandwich material. Then some waste generations can be, some part of the waste that is already generated can be addressed, and ultimately the impact of waste on environment can be minimized.
Yes, definitely. And one thing that if we go for say higher speed, like what we are getting in case of air jet or water jet looms, so the speed is quite higher compared to say soldier or rapier looms. And in if we are leaving the shuttle loom, but as the speed become higher, so more number of heels have those are also working in very high speed, means moving very high speed. So maybe there's some kind of thrusting area for research like that, so lightweight heel frame or so
Definitely,
these kind of
I have discussed that those rapier heads earlier it was being produced from steel, but now rapier heads are produced from carbon fiber reinforced composites. So weight reduction, definitely the fiber reinforced composites are having higher specific strength. That means higher strength with less weight. So ultimately, the energy, sorry, the energy that is being used in weaving machines are reciprocation or for rotation or for linear movement of machine parts. So ultimately, the reduction in weight will improve the utilization percentage of power, as well as uh, reduction on the environmental effects, that is for extraction of steel or aluminum rather than to manufacture fiber reinforced composites. So a lot of scope is there to reduce the manufacturing cost from uh, reduction of weight to reduction of waste and utilization of power, so that the fabrics can be made more sustainable.
sir, another thing, yes. So you have mentioned that circular loom or multi-phase circular, leave about circular, say multi-phase loom, they come very much earlier, but due to some certain technological
Yes.
aspect, that was not succeed basically. So is there any scope to improve that, or so that has to be lived permanently like that? Because the speed
No,
would
no,
be
definitely there is very high. Okay, 5,500 meters per minute, the WIR. So if
that is
because multiple sets are formed and multiple wefts are inserted into the multiple sets that are formed. If one weft is broken or one weft is having less tension, uh, it is very difficult to repair it. And since the textile yarns, they are manufactured by the uh, drawing and twisting process, so unevenness is inevitable and breakage is inevitable. Yes, if you want to use the tape yarn or synthetic yarn or filament yarn, then I feel there is scope for improvement, and definitely people or the machine manufacturers are putting their thoughts, and some R&D is going on. But as of today, the multi-phase machines are not commercially viable, and in last two it was, that is at Milan and Barcelona. Milan was in 2015 and Barcelona was 2019. The multi-phase weaving machines are not in the stocks. That means there is no taker, there is no buyer, as a result of which the machine manufacturers have stopped manufacturing these machines. But with much R&D and feasibility, and also with advent of technology and manufacturing of technical textiles, where such type of yarns can be used which are break-free yarns, then we can go for multi-phase weaving.
Uh, yes, obviously, if some problem is there, so better to produce the higher quality product. That would be better for us. Obviously, that will be environment friendly also.
Yes.
Other thing what I can mention over here, still in Surat particularly, there are so many shuttle loom, means conventional loom, for that where the selvage cutting or say these are the things are not available, means what are the weight it is producing, it is consuming, that is used for the fabric itself. There is no selvage cutting or these things, so we can say the waste is also very less. Yes, and I think it is audible, you sir?
Yeah, it is audible. No.
So just mentioning, and some of these conventional fabric also, it is made from conventional loom, so they are converting into technical textile by some kind of coating, or sometimes something is laminated with something. So these are also possible in nowadays, because not only that high production, but still these shuttle loom are also working here.
Yes, shuttle looms are working, but I could not get your point that how they are contributing for manufacturing of technical textile, because that part
They
voice was breaking.
by coating they are making some kind of umbrella cloth, sometimes
Yes.
luggage cloth. So these are the things,
Mhm.
some water repellent coating.
Yes.
So
Yes.
they are also contributing on that.
That is very much possible, but that is time consuming, labor intensive.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so if you can switch over to new technology of 3D weaving or shuttleless weaving, then definitely the quality of the preforms will increase. The time requirement will be less. The joining parts will be less prone to fracture, and the formability of the preforms is much easier. So that aspect can be done. But in India, you see lots of labor is available. Okay, so we always
Yes.
run after cheap products. Okay, so
Yes, the cost of
definitely
the machine,
from
obviously, if we compare between the cost of the machine, one shuttle loom and one water jet loom, so the cost is very difference. Even if we are going for say
yeah.
Picanol or say Sudakuma kind of looms.
Agree, very much agree, very much agree.
Sir, I am seeing there is a question from Taruna Jain, one of the participant. Is there any research going on in the direction of recycle or reuse of the regular textile waste? The example, what he says is like plastic used in the road construction. Is the textile industry in the textile waste, something like that is happening from the reuse point of view?
See,
Could you
Dr.
please
Das
repeat it?
Dr. Das already mentioned some kind of garnetting or some other things where the textile fabric can be reused to make some other product like non-woven and say some kind of fillings to the quilts or somewhere. But still there are other possibilities also, and that is not possible actually, that is already implemented in textile manufacturing, like PET bottle. All the bottles are collected and these bottles are converted into a textile fiber basically, and those fibers are used for manufacturing the cloths. So that is possible, and that is already implemented, and some of the companies are there in Surat itself.
Yes.
So they are making
Yes,
that is called
because
fabric can be reused. Fabric reuse is talked about. Hello, sir, am I audible?
yes.
Sir, can the fabric can be reused somewhere?
Fabrics. No, fabrics, you see, woven fabrics can be collected from landfills, and after few processes, it can be garneted. It can be again brought back into fiber form. Okay, and it can be used as filler material in the physical change, or you can chemically change it, reduce its molecular weight, and use it for manufacturing of tapes, films like polyester or nylon or polypropylene. You can very well reuse it after reducing its molecular weight. No issues. And by physical, you can garnet and reuse as fills for your cushions and fills for wall hangings. So that can be very much possible, and that is also being practiced.
Okay. Nice, sir. Your reply is excellent. Now we are reaching by 5:30. So once again, I thanks. We are going to have one more session at 6 o'clock. That is the last session for today's. And the faculty is also a renowned faculty. I think it is Professor B.S. Butola from Textile Technology of IIT Delhi. And I think hopefully you are all going to join it once again. I thanks Professor Vibhu Prasad Das to taking out its time from busy schedule and giving this wonderful lecture with PowerPoint presentation where the very nice and one-stop information is available. Thank you, sir, and a lot of our participants, the Jakana Jadhav, Taruna, and Mithu Kumar, all are saying that your lecture is wonderful, informative, nice lecture. Thank you, sir, once again for your wonderful lecture and enriching our participant and ourselves as our also. Thank you, sir. Now, if Dr. Vivek, is there any remark from your side?
No, sir. It is okay. We can conclude the session.
Okay. Sir, Dr. Maiti, sir, we can conclude the session, right?
Yes, sir. Everything has been discussed.
Okay, we can meet 5:50 exactly for the next session. So don't go away. Be near computer itself and join at exactly 5:50 so that you can able to listen wonderful speaker from IIT Delhi. Okay, thank you, sir. Vivek, sir, thank you once again. Bye.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Prasad.
you. It is my pleasure. You have invited. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Most welcome, sir. Most welcome.
Thank you.
We look forward for a continued collaborations in future.
Sure, sir. Sure, definitely. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Good night. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Bye.
So all participants are requested to join in time at 5:50.